Welcome to Elderly Care. I'm Dr. Winston, and for over 40 years, I've walked alongside older adults on their journey to better health and longer, more joyful lives. Today, I want to share a personal story. How at 87 I feel more alive than I did at 50. And it all begins with just 3 minutes each morning. Most people think that when you reach your 80s, energy becomes a luxury, that aches and stiffness are simply part of the daily package, that feeling tired is something you just have to accept. And for a long time, I believed that too. But then, something changed. Not overnight. Not with some miracle product or expensive program. No. It started with something so small, it would have been easy to overlook. 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes each morning that I gave back to myself. And those 5 minutes, they gave me back everything. It all began during a quiet morning. The kind where you wake before the rest of the world does. The sky was still a soft grey. The light hadn't yet found its full color. I sat at the edge of my bed, feet on the floor, hands resting on my knees. My joints ached like usual. My breath was shallow, and my mind already worried about the day ahead. But something in me whispered, "Wait." So I waited, and I breathed. Not deeply, not perfectly, just slowly. In and out. I didn't count, I didn't force anything. I simply gave myself permission to pause. For the first time in a long time, I listened to the quiet. I felt the rhythm of my own chest rising and falling. And as I did, I noticed something curious. My heart felt less heavy, my shoulders lowered, my breath deepened. I spent the next few moments gently rolling my neck, stretching my arms, moving my spine. Nothing elaborate, just slow, intentional movements, the kind that say, "I'm still here." That morning, I gave myself exactly 5 minutes before I began my day. It wasn't much, but it was mine. The next day, I did it again. And again, the day after that. Something subtle began to shift, not all at once, but like a soft wave reshaping the shore. My energy began to return. My thoughts became clearer. I didn't dread mornings anymore. In fact, I started looking forward to them. And the beauty of it all? It was so simple. No equipment, no complicated steps, just breath, movement, and a little kindness to myself. Over time, those 5 minutes became more than just a routine. They became a ritual, a quiet ceremony of honoring myself. What began as simple breathing, gentle movement, and a whisper of encouragement slowly transformed into something richer, deeper. After the first few months, I started refining the way I moved in those early moments. I noticed which movements made me feel more alert, which stretches loosened the parts of my body that stiffened during sleep. I didn't follow a specific program. I simply listened to my body. That's something we sometimes forget to do as we age. We stop listening, or worse, we stop believing our bodies still speak to us. One morning, I added a soft shoulder roll that made my neck feel less tense all day. Another day, I discovered that tapping gently on my chest with my fingertips helped me feel more awake. I read later that it stimulates the thymus gland, which is connected to our immune system. Whether or not that's true, I can't say for sure. But I can say it made me feel stronger, somehow, more present. Eventually, I introduced a bit of light balance work. Standing near a chair, I would lift one foot slightly off the ground and hold for 5 seconds, then switch sides. At first, it was hard. My ankles wobbled, and I'd reach for the chair more often than not. But I kept at it, and within a few weeks, I could feel the improvement. That small act gave me a confidence I hadn't felt in years. Balance, both literal and metaphorical, returned to me. My breathing practice also deepened. I began to include a moment of gratitude in those quiet breaths. Not a long list, just one thing. One single thing I was grateful for that day. Some mornings, it was the sunlight coming through the window. Other days, it was simply that I could still get out of bed on my own. That one moment of acknowledgement shifted how I viewed the entire day. It reminded me that even as I aged, life continued to offer small gifts. The inner dialogue, the part where I talked to myself, also grew more loving. At first, it felt forced, like repeating lines in a play, but with time, my inner voice became more natural, kinder, more forgiving. Instead of just saying, "Today is a new chance," I began adding, "You don't have to be perfect, you just have to show up." And that's what I did. I showed up every day. Whether I slept well or poorly, or whether I was in a good mood or not, I gave myself 3 minutes. Some days it turned into 10. Other days, 3 was all I could manage. But the point was never perfection. The point was presence. Now, I know what you might be thinking. How could something so small make such a big difference? And I ask myself the same thing, over and over, especially in the beginning. But here's what I've come to understand. In our later years, it's not the grand gestures that give us strength. It's the steady ones, the rituals, the quiet promises we keep with ourselves. I began noticing changes that had nothing to do with strength or flexibility. My mind felt clearer. I remembered things more easily. I found myself laughing more often, even at silly things. My interactions with others became warmer. I became less impatient, less irritable. There was a calmness that started to settle in me, like a lake that had finally stopped stirring. What's interesting is how other people began to notice too. My daughter, who visits every Sunday, once looked at me and said, "You seem lighter lately, happier." I smiled, not because I was hiding some secret, but because I knew exactly what had changed. These 3-minute habits reminded me that aging doesn't mean disappearing. It doesn't mean giving up joy or curiosity or movement. It simply means learning to carry those things in new ways, lighter ways, more intentional ways. I also want to be honest, some days are still hard. I still get aches. I still forget things. I still miss friends who are no longer here. But those 3 minutes ground me. They remind me that I am still capable of taking care of myself, that I still matter. You see, what we often lack in old age is not strength, but direction, a sense of rhythm, a thread to follow, something that gently pulls us forward. These habits became that thread for me, and they might become the same for you too. Now, whenever someone asks me what keeps me feeling younger, I don't point to vitamins or diets or miracle cures. I simply say 3 minutes a day, because it's not about the minutes themselves. It's about the decision behind them, the decision to show up, the decision to start again. If there's one thing I hope you take from my story, it's this. It's never too late to begin again. Even at 84, I discovered a spark I thought I'd lost. Just 3 minutes a day can remind you who you are and who you still want to be. If this touched something in you, I invite you to stay with me on this journey. Subscribe to the channel and let's keep growing together, one quiet, powerful morning at a time.